In the jungles of Malaya, a war is brewing. Thousands of Malayan communist guerrillas prepare to take on the might of the British Empire. The first deadly shots are fired one day in June 1948. It's early morning on the Elphil rubber estate. Manager Arthur Walker completes his inspection round and returns to his office.
3 male Chinese rode on bicycles, parked their bicycles next to his office, and they shot him cold-blooded, and he was killed.
Malaya is engulfed by violence. An emergency is declared.
The emergency in Malaya was a full-scale war.
The first 3 years of the emergency, the casualties were great, very great. Every day there was killing left, right and center.
Malaya's war lasts 12 long years. It will kill more than 11,000 people, both combatants and ordinary civilians caught in the crossfire. But from this terrible experience will rise a modern nation, Malaysia, a nation that learnt the hard way to fight and live together. Kuala Lumpur, the capital city of modern Malaysia, is a vibrant and diverse metropolis. The city is a rich mix of different peoples and cultures brought together by their history. More than 100 years ago, British entrepreneurs begin to exploit Malaya's rich natural resources, above all, its tin and rubber. They bring in workers from India and China to toil in the mines and rubber estates. The British transformed the human landscape of Malaya, creating an intricate tapestry of different races, the predominant Malays, Chinese, and Indians. Many Chinese workers join communist cells to agitate for better conditions. But despite mounting unrest, the British remain firmly in charge. The flow of Malayan raw materials enriches the empire. Then, in early 1942, the Second World War brings British rule in Asia to an abrupt end. In February, after a lightning campaign, the Japanese drive the British from Malaya and Singapore. It is a humiliating defeat. But a cadre of British officers stay on to fight the Japanese, the renowned Force 136. Hidden in the jungle, the British recruit small units of Malayans and train them to harass the Japanese and prepare for liberation. Force 136 also forges close bonds with a much bigger guerrilla army, the 7,000-strong Malayan People's Anti-Japanese Army, the MPAJA, and backs them with arms and equipment to fight the common enemy. This jungle ally is a communist front.
The communists during the war were known as the Malayan People's Anti-Japanese Army, MPAJA. They developed very good jungle warfare skills thanks to the wartime collaboration with Force 136, the British counterinsurgency unit.
For both sides, the pact is viewed as temporary and expedient.
The communists knew there wasn't going to be a long-term marriage,
In 1945, Allied armies finally defeat the Japanese, and the British are back. At victory parades, the MPAJA make sure they have a prominent role, posing as conquerors of the Japanese. Marching with them is a charismatic young man regarded by the British as their most trusted guerrilla. His name, Chin Peng. The British gratefully award him the Order of the British Empire. Even though the war is over, the communists do not return all their weapons.
They refused to surrender their weapon to the British when the British came back, and they went underground.
有些你在地面上呢挖一个大洞，武器就拆了，就放进去。
Chin Peng will soon become a painful thorn in the British side. The British, bankrupted by the war, tighten their grip. They will not give up Malaya's valuable raw materials without a fight.
Malaya, in particular, was one of the colonies which earned more in US dollars than any other colony.
But the world has changed. The empire is crumbling, and a vibrant Malayan nationalist movement has begun to agitate for independence. But it is the communists who make the most pressing demands. They want the British, their former allies in the Jungle War, to be expelled by force of arms.
Chin Peng had always been in favor of a shooting war, of overthrowing the colonial power government by force.
They wanted to take over from the British and turn our country into a communist country.
To begin with, the Malayan Communist Party instigates a wave of strikes directed at Malaya's mines and plantations, the backbone of the economy.
Tanah air kita banyak biji, banyak emas, banyak timah, banyak kayu raya. Semua ini harta kita belaka. Dia ambil daripada situ bawa ke England. Kita tujuan lawan orang putih. Asal jatuh orang putih.
Everywhere you have strike, every state, every big town, workers will support strike because strike means we will drive out the British, and when the British leave, we will run the country ourselves.
In 1947, there are more than 300 strikes and paralyzing labor disputes.
They had control of the labor unions, and it gave the British authorities a lot of problems.
As strikes and disruption spread, the man in charge, British High Commissioner Sir Edward Gent, comes under intense pressure. The powerful planters and mine owners accuse him of weakness, of failing to govern effectively. Then, events take a sudden turn for the worse. Communist firebrands, frustrated by lack of progress, decide to ramp up the struggle and unleash a murderous new campaign. In a single day, communist gangs shoot dead 3 British planters. High Commissioner Gent finally takes resolute action. He declares an emergency.
Murder, panic, pillage, arson. Malaya was engulfed in a life and death struggle. Communist terrorists from their jungle hideouts struck at Malaya's basic industries, intimidated labor, destroyed factories and machinery, wrecked communications, and murdered all those who dared defy.
It is, to all intents and purposes, a declaration of war. But the British cunningly call it an emergency, so that the planters and mine owners can continue to make insurance claims, usually refused in wartime.
Actually, a smart idea. Don't call it a war. Call it an emergency, so you can actually collect on the insurance due because of damage to property and all that sort of thing.
The sudden escalation takes even the communist leadership by surprise. But Chin Peng reacts swiftly and returns to the jungle to prepare his men.
整个生命都不要抛开家里了，就这样去跟他打过。
他讲打日本是3年08个月。
The British brand these young men and women as rebels, bandits, gangsters. They are called communist terrorists, or CTs. But they are a formidable force. Using skills learned from the British, communist leader Chin Peng sends some 5,000 recruits, organized in highly disciplined battalions, to key locations, ready to strike. And Chin Peng has a powerful ally, the Malayan jungle. Hot, humid, well-nigh impenetrable, the Malayan jungle runs